All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the People Person podcast presented by Good Time Media. I am your host, Wyatt Metzger, and today I am joined by a Bachelor Nation legend. He has come out of retirement more times than Brett Favre. He's appeared on The Bachelorette, Bachelor Pad, and 3 seasons of Bachelor in Paradise. Chris Bukowski is here, and Chris, all of those appearances have led you here to me, so it begs the question, was it all worth it?
Obviously, all worth it if I'm sitting here with you talking, having an interview.
I mean, this is the pinnacle, right? There's no going up from here.
This is it. I think I retire right after this interview.
There you go. You heard it here first. Now, I have to be completely transparent. I only met you and knew who you were on your last appearance on season 6 of The Bachelor in Paradise. And if I was good at my job, I would go back and watch stuff and learn more about you, but I'm not. So if I were to go back and watch one of your appearances, what's the one you think I should go back and all right, this is Chris. This is the best version of myself?
Oh, well, that's tough because the most entertaining would be Bachelor Pad.
That's what I saw. Yeah.
Yeah, most entertaining Bachelor Pad. And I guess the best version of myself would be the last season of Paradise just because, it's most relevant to my current age. Bachelor Pad, I was 25, and on Paradise, I was 32, so big difference there.
What's the biggest thing you noticed from 25 to 32? Is what changed the most from appearance 1 to the last one?
Well, on Bachelor Pad, I was a player. I was having fun. So
As I should.
And then Paradise, honestly, I was really there to find hopefully someone that I can date. And just a total different mindset.
Yeah. Now, with 3 seasons of Paradise, what was the workout routine like beforehand? Because was it I need to get jacked for each season, or by the 3rd time were you fuck it, this is who I am?
Yeah, well, it was different again at the beginning. It was my first time on TV, so I was, hitting the gym hard. But again, I was younger. And then this time around, I'm like, well, I got to prove myself. I'm probably going to be the one of the older guys there. So, want to definitely impress as much as possible. So the gym routine was equally as hard both times around.
Okay. And now when you're on the beach, when you're there in Paradise, they love to go to shots of people working out on the beach. How often are you actually working out there?
You try to at least get a jog in a day, but it's tough. If you're Clay, that's all you do all day is you just worked out all day. And you can't work out next to Clay because then you look like, you don't belong there because the guy's a beast. But you try to get 20, 30 minutes of workout in a day.
That's more than I do now. So I don't know if I could do that on a beach, at a resort, whatever, with a bunch of females around. I don't know if I'd get even 5 minutes in. So good for you on that.
You'd be surprised because it actually gets a little boring around there because you're looking for things to do.
Really? Yeah, that's interesting because you spend all day there, and I'm sure they only use maybe an hour of footage a day, if that. So you're trying to kill a lot of time there, right?
Yeah, they film you all day, but like you said, they only use an hour of footage. But you can't start drinking until after noon, so it's you got the whole morning. So there's a lot of time to kill. And you can't watch TV. You really don't read books. They don't want you to be in bed past a certain amount of time. So there's a lot of time to kill.
That's like sleepaway camp, but the counselors have a lot more control.
Way too much control. You literally have zero freedom. So it's all right, you're sleeping into, today there's no sleeping in, there's no sleep schedule. It's their schedule. So it's pretty brutal.
Were there any moments where you're just all right, can you guys just give me an hour, please, just to be alone? Are you allowed that at all? Or are they just no, sorry, you signed a contract?
No, if you're having a breakdown, maybe they'll give you an hour alone, but there's really nowhere to have an hour alone. So it's tough.
Yeah, I guess it's what you sign up for to an extent, but also it's we're both humans here. Just give me some space if I need it. So that's tough.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Now, I want to know what you think. What do you think made you so attractive to them to keep bringing you back?
Man, that's a great question because obviously I did it 6 times. I think you think you always have it figured out, but you don't. And I think for me, I put a lot of trust into the producers, which is, they like that because
Yeah.
you'll agree to do some stuff that they want you to do. And I get it. Like, it's a TV show. So, and again, like, I'm not a boring person, even in my real life. Like, I like to keep things interesting, stir the pot a little bit, and
Yeah.
keep people on their toes. So I think they like that. And I'm willing to, do more than I guess the other person would be willing to do.
Yeah. And I guess part of it has to be, it's kind of like a rush, an addiction to see yourself on TV, and that's got to feel good. I mean, obviously, unless they're painting you in a terrible light, which I don't think they've absolutely destroyed you before, but I'm just like seeing yourself on TV, being in that like spotlight. Anyone would feel good about that. So like being asked to go back, it's like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, was that part of it?
Yeah, I think for me, less and less, it was more about, people like recognizing me or seeing myself on TV. I think it was actually more for the experience itself,
Okay.
and meeting cool people, right? You build this network of people that are pretty incredible that you would never, meet in your real life. So I think that's what it was for me. And yeah, I honestly, like, I wouldn't even watch it if I didn't get engaged on the last season. I probably wouldn't have watched it, just because it's 2 hours of, too many commercials, and you already know what kind of happens, and you watch it kind of beforehand before it's actually live on TV. So yeah, I think it's more of just the experience itself.
Yeah. And then how do you think, you've been through it all, how do you think the show itself has changed from your first appearance to now?
Yeah, I think it's changed drastically. I think it was a lot more authentic when I first started doing the show. A lot more about the relationships, and not so much of like the petty drama. Like, there was always drama, but not like this petty shit that has been happening off camera. That's the thing, is before, you would get in trouble if you communicated with people that were on the show off camera before, filming. Now it's just like everyone's already got these relationships, and I don't get it. And for me, it's like, if you already have these relationships off camera, then why don't you just keep it on camera?
Yeah, why go to Mexico to just stir the pot?
Exactly. It's like, leave it for people that are actually wanting to go and like date someone, and not just get that attention that they're looking for.
Yeah, and it feels like the producers, to an extent, are like almost encouraging that. It's like stir up the drama online, because like you got social media now, you got people posting together, you got all that, and then people already developing their own storylines before the season starts, and then now people are rooting for people to be together before anything is even filmed. And then I guess it makes for better television. You got to understand it's a business, but that's a tough dynamic.
Yeah. So what you said, I think social media is the big difference maker, right? In 2013, my first show, Instagram wasn't even out yet. It was just coming. Yeah, it was just coming out. So Twitter was the thing, and it was just different, right? People weren't really monetizing their social media yet like they do now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing now, is I would say 90% of the people that go on the show are going, especially the girls, are going because they want to increase their social following, monetize their Instagrams, and make some money, which is fine. I appreciate the hustle, but it takes out the authenticity of actually, building a relationship.
Yeah, that's so hard. It has to be like, I don't want to put 100% of the blame on like the producers, because it'd be so hard to figure out, like, all right, who actually is here just like for the experience rather than just to gain a following. Because I feel like everyone going in is be like, yeah, I would love to find love and find a person, but like also it'd be really nice to get 100,000 Instagram followers and money, or just like being pretty on camera. That'd be nice too. So that has to be the toughest casting process to do. I know they do their homework, so that there's all that. Now, let's look at the last season. You mentioned this a little bit, but your mindset going in, did you know like this one's it? This is it. If I don't find it, I'm done. Or were you like still going in optimistic, but we'll see where this goes?
Yeah, for me, it was, I kind of stopped watching the show completely for like 3 years. So I was retired, right? And for me, I made it a purpose to not do any research on people that I knew were going to be on the show, because I want to meet them authentically and like get to know them, just like if I met them on the street. And it kind of worked against me because I feel like everyone already had those relationships when I got there, and I was just kind of like, oh, the guy that was on the show, 3-4 years ago, so it was good and bad, but yeah, if I had to do it again, I wouldn't change it because I think it worked out well for me, even though, the relationship didn't work out, but, met some good people. And yeah, I was hoping that would be my last time, and it could be my last time, but, it didn't end the way I completely wanted it to.
Yeah. So it's safe to say you didn't go to Stagecoach like everyone else did on that season.
No Stagecoach, no.
That was the big thing. It's like everyone went to Stagecoach and everyone met each other there. And then like apparently Blake hooked up with every single person there. And it was just like, okay, cool. Now we have to settle this on a beach in front of cameras. So it's interesting.
Note to self, if you ever go on that show, there's a million girls, right, in this country, millions. Don't hook up with ones that are going to be on the show beforehand.
I'll remember that. I'll remember that when I go on the show. I'm slow. Yeah. See, these interviews are just a plot for me to like just poke the bear that is ABC enough where I can bother them and they can just let me in. Be like, fine, we'll throw you a ticket. You can be on the show. So I think
you'll be fully ready to go, man.
Yeah, I got all the tips. I got all the I'll be ready to go. So obviously that season ended with your proposal with Katie, and obviously you guys have both gone your separate ways now. Are you still friends with Katie? You still in communication at all?
Very little. I mean, we were after we ended the engagement, but it's just like, it got weird as far as like, all right, so what are we doing? Like, are we, we're friendly, but are we trying to like be in a relationship or not? So it's like, it was one of those things where it was better just to cut it off completely. I mean, we're not, enemies by any means. Like if we saw each other, we'd, give each other a hug, but it's not like, we're texting each other every day or, hitting each other up. But, it was tough. The relationship was brutal, man. I mean, getting off of that show and just trying to figure things out. So, I think it was just best for us to kind of just go our separate ways.
Yeah. And what's that pressure like after the show? I feel like on the show, there's always this like honeymoon period almost where it's like everything's perfect. We're in paradise. This is great. And obviously you work a few things out there. But once you get off the show, is there some pressure like, hey, we should keep this going because like people are rooting for us almost. Like people have come to love us together. And is there a pressure there?
Yeah, I would say the most pressure I've ever felt on any of the shows was being engaged off of the show. Wow. We should have never been engaged, and that was like actually our third option was to be engaged, after our fantasy suite night. And yeah, the pressure is, all right, you want to be like, Dylan and Hannah or, and have this like great relationship, but it was never that. Like we would have been better off just being friends, but the pressure of, oh shit, like we're going to have to actually announce our breakup and everyone's going to be like, oh, I told you so, or, this and that. So it's tough, man. It's definitely not easy.
Okay. Now, what do you mean by you like that was your third option after your fantasy suite date? Like what's that?
Yeah. So we, we strategized a little bit when there was no cameras, fantasy suite night when we're alone. Our first option was to leave like his boyfriend and girlfriend and date. And then the second option was I was going to propose and she was going to say no. And then the third option was I'd propose and she would say yes. And then, so after that, you don't see each other until you're actually on the stage proposing, which is 48 hours later. So a lot changes, right? A lot of people are in your ear. And I just remember going up there and they gave me the ring like last minute. And, you're like, oh shit, this grand stage. And she kind of just gave me the nod, like, all right, like do it. So I wasn't 100% sure if she was going to say no or yes. And she said yes, thankfully. In that moment, like I, meant everything I said and wanted, that to happen. But yeah, it's just so hard to actually have a plan and stick to it when you're there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're trying to guide you one way or the other, no matter how hard you could fight against it. It feels like so. It's
easy. And they don't want you to like. They don't want that. They don't want you to be like, oh, like we're just gonna leave and date. Like they don't want that. They either want you to break up or they want you to get engaged.
Yeah, no, there's no middle path. There's not like, hey, we'll figure it out like normal people do, but you have to end one way or the other. Which again, like I get it. It's a business, it's a show, but like people too. You're dealing with people, so it's interesting, and I feel like they've come under a lot of heat lately, and the show has changed so much over the
Yeah.
past couple of years, even since like I've become like a fan of watching, just like it's taken a turn, which I don't know. So Dylan said something interesting back in, when was that, September or something? He
Hmm.
says he doesn't think the whole franchise is going to exist in 5 years. Where do you
Hmm.
think it'll be 5 years from now?
I already consider the show completely almost a different show now that Chris Harrison's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it existing, I don't see it carrying on too much longer either, um, which is sad, right? Because this thing's
Yeah.
been around for 20 plus years. So I'm not rooting against them by any means, like, but I think that they were caught off guard and they were on their heels and they were acting quickly instead of thinking things out more. And you think these are probably the smartest people in the world in media, like
Yeah.
they got to figure something out, right? I think they reacted quicker than they should have in some aspects of the show. And that's just what it is. I mean, things change, and when you're around for that long, you have to be able to adapt. And I think, like I said, I think they got caught off guard.
Now, how close were you with Chris? There, obviously, you knew him pretty well because you were there a lot. But how close were you with him, like throughout that whole process and like after you were done?
Yeah, I mean, we would text here and there, and like, the more you're on the show, the more like kind of respect you get from him, just because it's a familiar face, right? And I would consider him a friend and a good guy, So to see that happen to him, we've all made mistakes, and even the people that were punishing him for making that mistake, those people have made mistakes too. And so that's why for me it was just like, the guy got canceled so quickly. And for me, I think it was almost like, if you want to hold someone accountable, then you just don't get rid of him, right? The guy was the face of the franchise. Put him out there and show that he can change. That's how people learn and get better. I mean, you don't just get rid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't happy about all that, but it is what it is. Here we are.
That's the thing. It's like it was tough to watch just because, again, I've always been a fan, like just a proponent of like that's how progress is made. Like yes, hold people accountable. That should happen 100%, but also give them a chance to change. If they're
Right.
in the public eye, let them change in a public eye, and then that there you have people, young people who watch a show can see, oh, people can change, people can do better. You have opportunities to redeem yourself. Like that's the story you should want, not the story of like
Right.
this guy fucked up and now he's done. Now we're ending his career. Because then people are going to live the rest of their lives so scared to not
Right.
fuck up, because then they're like, as soon as I do, it's done. So it's like, obviously, there's this balance. Hold them accountable, but also give them room to fix what they messed up on and grow. That's how
Yeah.
progress is made.
I agree completely. And that's the thing. It's like, I try not to even tweet anymore. I feel like everything I say is going to get scrutinized, or I say it in the wrong light. But I didn't mean it that way, but people perceive it that way. And it's like, wow, it's like, you have to be so careful with what you say. And another thing, I mean, when that all happened with Chris, the cast members that were like going after him, I know these people. I'm like, these people have done worse than what Chris has said or did. And it was just like, and a lot of those kind of came out. Some of those cast members came out and like people dug up some stuff that was pretty bad on them. So it was like, people almost go with the trend, right? So he did something wrong, and it's good for us to say, oh, like he did something wrong, like he should be shunned out of the franchise. And people are scared to take the other side, to stick up for what was wrong and kind of see a different aspect, because then if you're sticking up for the wrong side, then you're just as guilty as the person that's getting blamed for something.
Yeah. And I would say the other thing I have, like my thoughts on the whole Chris Harrison situation, is that I've always thought like his job in itself, like by itself, is pretty meaningless. Like he like facilitates and like kind of carries the story along, but like it's not. I feel like people are upset about him leaving or being not being able to come back because it's Chris Harrison and he's been there since day one, not because his job is so important. If that makes sense, it's more of like a legacy. It's more of like a legacy thing. Like he's been there, he's the face of the franchise. So him not being there is going to hurt the show. When in reality, like anyone could really do his job, but it's
Yeah.
he's the face.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I mean, he's literally on filming maybe like 20 minutes a day, not even, maybe 20 minutes every third day, you know?
yeah.
But again, it's just like, it's the face, right? It's just the more of the comforting aspect of, all right, like, you know, his voice in the promos and, you know, the rose ceremonies and all that stuff.
Yeah. And so kind of moving on that same line is the big reason why I was able to get you on was slight Twitter jab I took at Dylan when I said he should host because he's short and he wouldn't intimidate all the other guys that are going on the show.
Yeah.
But then I did a quick little Google search, dude. He's taller than you.
Yeah. No, he's not taller than me.
It says okay, then you gotta fix Google. Google says he's 5'11" and that you're 5'10".
I'm 6'3".
You're 6'3"?
Yeah.
Damn,
yeah.
I was gonna make a short joke on it. Damn. I'm 6'3".
No. Are you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go fix that with Google because I'm 6'3". Dylan's 5'10's pushing it for him. You know, I think his ego makes him 5'10", but yeah, I got a few inches on him for sure.
Okay, that's what I thought because pictures look like you're much taller, but then I looked it up and I was like, "There's no way Dylan's 5'10", first of all," and then I thought you were taller than 5'11", so it's like, okay, that makes a lot more sense then. And Dylan's a Packers fan, so that sucks.
He's a what?
He's a Packers fan, so
I'm a Bears fan, so
I was gonna get to that. Now I'm a Vikings fan.
Oof.
So you guys are both starting behind the 8 ball with me, so that's tough.
I see the Wrigley Field picture, though. Is that Wrigley Field back there?
Yep. So I'm a Cubs fan, so we have that in common. And I saw you are season ticket owners, correct?
Yeah.
So what does a podcaster have to do to go get tickets to Cubs game?
Well, I'll take you next time I'm back in town.
Okay, perfect. I'll be there. I'm only like 2 hours away. I'm down in Indy.
Oh, so you're not even in Illinois?
No, I'm not in Chicago at all, but I'll be there.
Okay. It's not 2 hours ain't bad.
And, okay, but now I'm back to Bears. You got Justin Fields. I wanted him so bad as a Vikings fan. I was so pissed. The second I saw the Bears trade up, I said, fuck, we're screwed. He's the quarterback of the future. How excited are you to have him?
I'm super excited. I do think that a big issue in Chicago is our coaching staff. I think Nagy's not it. As you saw with Mitch, right? Like, Mitch wasn't a great quarterback by any means. I think he was kind of thrown out to the wolves with getting picked second overall.
Yeah.
I don't think they adjusted to, like, his strengths by any means. So I'm almost hoping that Dalton plays this season and they suck. And then they fire Nagy, and then new staff comes in and Fields, gets unleashed. I don't want him to be, like, rushed into something and then he fails and it's like, oh, no, here we go again,
Yeah, unfortunately, like, it looks like drafting Fields probably bought Nagy another year. Like, that was almost a desperation pick, but it was the right pick.
The whole staff, I mean, the GM and Nagy, like, that literally saved their jobs. And even making the playoffs last year, I mean, they shouldn't have made the playoffs. They were shit. They made the playoffs. They lost, and and then drafting Fields. I think this is their last shot, right? They probably got to win the division this year for them to keep their jobs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's wide open too with Aaron Rodgers just running around not playing football. So it's anyone's division at this point.
Yeah. Besides the Lions.
True.
Yeah.
I'm not a believer in Jared Goff. I'm happy that Stafford isn't there anymore because Stafford was insanely underrated. He could ball. He was so good.
I think Stafford could be a Hall of Famer. I mean, the guy's great in my opinion.
If he was in any other franchise, I think he's very well, almost like a first ballot Hall of Famer. But he's stuck in Detroit for that long.
Right.
Now, another thing you'd like to tweet a lot about, big crypto guy.
Yeah.
So crypto is just this space in there that I just don't understand. I'm under the philosophy, if I'm going to gamble or mess around with my money, it's going to be on something I know, which is usually sports. Mm-hmm. So what benefit, try to convince me like I'm a third grader, what benefit do I have trying to figure out crypto?
I mean, it's something that you should learn about, right? Because, I mean, you're younger too. So I feel like in my opinion, with the current inflation and the devaluing of the U.S. dollar, I feel like eventually there is going to be a digital currency that kind of takes over. It might not be Bitcoin, but right now, to me, Bitcoin kind of is more of a store of value. And I think every year, it's almost gets more and more important to people, right? You just saw El Salvador just made it its currency, its legal tender currency in El Salvador, which is huge. There's just so much creative technology and businesses within the crypto sphere, right? I've been in it since 2014. I got my first Bitcoin in 2014, so I've been around it for a long time. Yeah. I've done a lot of work with different companies within the space, and it's just really interesting to me. And I think everyone should be more familiar with it.
Yeah, I feel like there's either you're completely in on it or you're just like, this is confusing, I don't care. Those are the two.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's going to kind of collapse a little bit more over the next couple of years, just as it continues to get more mainstream. I still think it's very in its infancy stage. I mean, if Elon Musk can tweet something and, move the whole market, then obviously there's a lot more work to do as far as, Bitcoin being a store of value. So I think it's worth it for everyone to at least read up on it a little bit or pay attention to it.
Okay, got it. Now I might have to do that now. I have a couple random questions to finish off. I saw you were gonna be on Bachelor live on stage thing.
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
Yeah, that happened right before COVID. It was kind of like a Bachelor tour. Yeah. And they were picking guys within like a certain city, and they were going to be the Bachelor. It was kind of like a show, right? And it would be like random people from that city, and then there'd be one Bachelor or Bachelorette, and it's kind of like the Bachelor in the most condensed form possible within like 2 hours. So that was that, and it was like a whole thing, and it was really cool. And it literally COVID canceled it, I think, about a week or two before the Chicago show.
So were you a part of it like before the Chicago one, or were you just like waiting in Chicago to do your part?
So they casted me for the Chicago one, and it wasn't in Chicago yet. I think they started in LA, then went to somewhere else on the West Coast, and then they were moving to Chicago, and then it got canceled leading up to Chicago show.
Okay, interesting. Now that kind of leads me into my next question. Your future within the franchise. Are you officially retired? Have you announced that at all?
I don't think I'll ever retire again, because in my opinion, if they asked me and the situation was right, I'd go back on. And again, but I'm 34 now, so I'm pushed a little bit. If I was in a relationship, obviously, that's not even a thought, but again, it's an opportunity to meet people, cool experience. So I'll never retire again. Until I'm dead. I'll be a free agent to go on the show.
There you go. I mean, they always have those ads at the end of the episode, like seniors, like sign up. So I'm like, hey, maybe down the road that could be you.
Right. Dude, can you imagine? If they produced that show, that'd be so awesome.
You would have to be the first like 50 plus, like let's say way down the road, you're like, let's do it. That has to be. You have to be the first Bachelor of like the seniors.
I agree. I should be first on the list.
100%. Who knows? Another random question: who wins in a fight, Clay Harbor or the rest of the guys on the beach for that last season?
Here's the thing: is Clay's a big guy, but he's a nice guy. I couldn't see him getting too scrappy, so I feel like there's a few of us that could take him, but he's definitely a big dude. So he'd probably throw a few guys around, but I think I would take the field for sure.
Okay. Who comes in dead last in that fight?
Probably Dylan.
There we go. Good answer.
Yeah.
Would you rather be Gerard Butler right now, he's like 51, or just yourself?
Myself. 100%. I mean,
it's Gerard Butler, dude.
I know it's Gerard Butler, but again, like you said, like 16 years is a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
17 years. So I think he's, coming to the tail end of his career where I think I'm still hitting my prime. But that accent, man, I wish I had that accent, because I would be crushing it with that accent.
Yeah. And then would you ever consider hosting?
Sure. I mean, some one-offs and stuff. Some shows. I don't think I'm the right guy for the host. I think I do know the show the best as far as, from being on it so much. And I think I really understand the situations that people are in. But yeah, I think actually I would host. I think it would be fun. And again, like you said before, it's not really about the hosts. I feel like the host is more of kind of a behind the scenes quarterback rather than, front and center of the show. So it's about the cast and the lead more than anything.
All right, well, perfect. I'll get you a nice little contract. I'll send over the stuff to ABC, and we'll set that up.
I love it.
All right, and now last question for you. I ask this to every guest. You can answer this however you want, or whatever first comes to mind. But what gets you up in the morning?
Oh man, I'm so excited to get up every morning. Like, I don't even sleep half the time. I have so many things going on, and I think for me, it's just, from a business side, there's so much opportunity every day just to figure something out new. And I think for me, it's from a very, I wouldn't say young age, but an earlier age when people, doubted me in different aspects of business and in my life. So I always keep that in my mind. And I always, in my mind, I do everything for my family, right? Because I know, like, my parents did everything for me and my sister. So for me, I want to pay that back. So every morning I wake up and I want to figure out how I can make their lives better since they made my life as great as it was.
That's awesome, dude. Well, hey, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. It meant a lot to me, and I hope you have some fun with it. But again, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was a good time. Hit me up about that Cubs game.
Oh, 100%. That's going to happen.
Yeah, dream girl, dreaming, I be dreaming. Missing all the days you got me feeling. I said I love you, babe, you know I mean it. Hey, yeah, dream girl, I be dreaming.